I'm the CEO of this company, and a junior analyst is in love with my girlfriend. When I slapped him across the face, then followed it up with 2 sharp kicks, my girlfriend shielded him, shoving me to the ground. That's enough, Leo. You're being vicious. I lay on the floor and twisted my lips into a smile. Security, you want to walk all over me? Use me as a stepping stone? You better weigh yourself first. That morning, I handed the artisanal breakfast I'd picked up to my girlfriend. The woman before me, Chloe Hansen, had a face like ice. She didn't even look up. Still, I felt a flicker of satisfaction. For the first time in a week, she hadn't immediately rejected me. Behind me, a gaggle of employees were whispering, "The CEO is the real deal with Ms. Hansen. If I had a boyfriend that rich, I'd be smiling in my sleep." Amid the chatter, a discordant sniffle cut through the noise. Chloe and I both looked over at the same time. It was Kevin Shun, a new hire on Chloe's team. He was standing near her desk, his head bowed. It seemed like wherever Chloe was, if you looked close enough, you'd find him lurking. I knew about Kevin's ambition. I'd made my displeasure clear more than once, but Chloe was fiercely protective of him, leaving me with no outlet for my frustration. Kevin snuck a glance at Chloe, and I noticed the glint of tears in his eyes, tears of pure self-pity. Chloe's brow furrowed. "Kevin," she said in a cold voice, "throw that out for me." His hand trembled slightly as he took the bag from her desk. Just like that, my peace offering, a warm almond croissant from her favorite bakery, was tossed into the trash can. The air in the office went still. A flash of triumph lit up Kevin's eyes, but he quickly masked it, shrinking back behind Chloe like a frightened child. "Manager, I don't know." The CEO made it himself. Chloe waved a dismissive hand. "Get rid of it. The sight of it makes me sick." The warmth drained from my eyes, but she was still staring me down, her patience gone. "Leo, don't make a scene. You're being ridiculous." Her gaze shifted to the greasy paper bag on her desk, a cheap bacon, egg, and cheese, and her expression softened. The expensive breakfast in the trash might as well have never existed. I took a step toward her, but she put a hand on my chest, pushing me back. "Leo, when are you going to stop? Don't follow me around anymore. We have nothing to do with each other. So what if you have money? I'm not the kind of woman who can be bought. Just drop the act." Her words dropped the temperature in the office another 10 degrees. I was shaking with a rage I could barely contain. I am Leo Vance, CEO and sole heir to Vance Holdings. Chloe Hansen is the illegitimate daughter of a rival family, tolerated only because I, for some reason, loved her. The whisper started up again behind me. "She's gone too far. That's so disrespectful to the CEO." "Exactly. And who the hell is Kevin Shun? He's just a classic parasite." I shoved my way through the gawking crowd, needing to get out of there. "Mr. Vance, wait." I heard the junior analyst's panicked voice, followed by a sharp cry. It was Kevin. He had deliberately slammed into me. In his hand was a steaming mug of black coffee, his intentions brutally clear. Scalding liquid splashed through the air. My executive assistant, Sarah, shoved me out of the way, taking most of the spray across her chest and arm. But the heat still seared my forearm. "Someone call for a medic." "Kevin, did you do that on purpose?" His eyes went wide in mock horror. He feigned panic, tripping over his apologies. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Vance. I just wasn't looking where I was going. I never meant to hurt anyone." "Not looking, huh? Just like last month, when your inattention blew up that acquisition deal and cost this company a fortune." "You can't say that, sir. I just don't have the experience yet," he protested, his voice cracking with feigned injustice. His performance only fueled the office gossip mill. Is Kevin blind? Does he think we all are? That deal last month was a sure thing. I heard this guy just goes to the client. He has zero skills. He just acts like he owns the place because Ms. Hansen protects him. They should just fire him already." He stood there, head bowed, and began to cry from pure, calculated humiliation. My own fury was a rising tide, and a single thought echoed in my mind. Hit him until he can't stand up. I rose to my feet and swung. The slap echoed through the silent office. I couldn't control my anger anymore. It was all clear now. My girlfriend, Chloe Hansen, the illegitimate daughter the Hansens wouldn't even let through their front door. And this pathetic snake, Kevin Shun. They were the ones in love. Chloe was disgusted by me, but she couldn't bear to give up my name or my money. And Kevin was just like her, an ungrateful parasite you could never satisfy. It must have been their upbringing, clawing their way up from nothing. They hated anyone who had it better than they did. They were even scheming to take over my assets and ride off into the sunset together. My security team had flagged all of this weeks ago, but I hadn't believed them. Now I did. I remembered when Kevin had failed his final interview and was crying in the lobby, I was passing by, felt a moment of pity, and made an exception to give him a chance. And this is how he repays me? By plotting my downfall. My eye for talent was truly remarkable. I'd managed to find the only 2 vipers in the entire city and put them in the same pit. Fine, let them wait for what's coming. I looked at Kevin's tear-streaked, pitiful face. Mr. Vance, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I was done listening. I raised my hand and slapped him again hard. Ah, Kevin howled in pain, though most of it was for show. I let out a cold, humorless laugh. I am the sole heir to the Vance fortune. You really think you two can play me for a fool? The idiot was still yelling. Mr. Vance, please stop. I know I was wrong. No one in the crowd dared to move. I rarely lose my temper, but today was different. This pent-up frustration had to go somewhere. I hit him again and again, a series of sharp, brutal slaps. He didn't dare dodge, his eyes wide with fear, but I could still see the flicker of calculation in them. And right on cue, a furious shout came from behind me. Leo, have you lost your mind? Chloe pushed through the circle of onlookers, helped Kevin to his feet, and then pointed a finger at me, letting loose a string of curses. Have you had your fun? He's just a kid. What kind of man are you, bullying him like this? And what are you? Who gave you the right to lecture me? My icy tone seemed to shock her. Kevin was still cowering, clutching his face and moaning in pain. That sent her over the edge. She lunged forward and shoved me hard, sending me stumbling back to the floor. What is your problem? Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? In the past, when she spoke to me with that kind of contempt, I'd just smile apologetically. But now, I was done. This woman was trash, and I was taking her out. I waved a hand toward the back of the room. Security. Instantly, 2 large men in sharp suits materialized, their eyes fixed on Chloe and Kevin. Chloe's bravado vanished. She had no idea what I was about to do, and she instinctively took a step back. Leo, what are you doing? So I threw out your breakfast, is that it? I'm still your girlfriend. You can't treat me like this. I let out a short, sharp laugh. This is my company. I could do whatever the hell I want. Chloe's face was a mask of fury. She never expected me to push back this hard. Still, she refused to back down, grabbing Kevin's arm and turning to leave. I'm not talking to you anymore. Come on, Kevin. Let's go discuss that client. Stop. My voice was cold, merciless. An illegitimate daughter with business to discuss? Who are you meeting with to help? Chloe spun around, her whole body trembling with rage. Being an illegitimate child was her deepest wound. She hated anyone ever mentioning it. And now, I just exposed it in front of the entire office, leaving her with nowhere to hide. Just because I threw out your breakfast? You're going to insult me like this? Leo, you've gone too far. I watched her seething face, calmly straighten my suit jacket, and walk toward her. Then I kicked her legs out from under her. She let out a cry of pain and crumpled to the floor. Kevin looked like his heart was breaking, but with me standing over her, he didn't dare move. Security pulled her up, forcing her to kneel in front of me. I stepped forward and slapped her hard across the left cheek. That one was for your disloyalty. Remember this. To the Hansons, you're nothing but a dog. I let you live like a human being. You should be grateful. Otherwise, you can crawl right back to them and keep begging for scraps. Chloe had never been humiliated like this. She twisted her head to glare at me. What did I ever do to you? Kevin, true to form, started pleading on her behalf. A grown man, crying harder than a teenage girl. Mr. Vance, it was an accident, I swear. The coffee was an accident. Please don't take it out on Miss Hanson. Chloe started shouting again. Leo, did you hear him? Can you stop acting like a spoiled brat? Just because you have money? You're blowing this little thing completely out of proportion. Looking at this stupid, clueless woman, I just shook my head. Not because I felt sorry for her, but because I couldn't believe I'd ever fallen for someone so utterly idiotic. It wasn't a little thing. It was my assistant, who now has second-degree burns and a multi-million-dollar acquisition deal that you two destroyed. Chloe scoffed. Oh, please, Leo. You're just jealous. Stop pretending. This whole act is pathetic. I just stared at them both, my face a blank mask. What? You don't want to pay? Fine. We can let the sort out. Assault with intent to harm should get you a few years. And sabotaging a corporate deal will get you blacklisted from this industry for life. Kevin panicked. Where's he going to get that kind of money? Ms. Hanson, Chloe, desperate to protect her little lover, screamed at me. Fine. Put on my tab. How disgusting. The CEO quibbling over a few dollars. But I wasn't about to let her off the hook. I motioned to the head of HR. He was reluctant to get involved, but he knew who signed his checks. He stepped forward. Ms. Hanson, due to your repeated violations of company policy, your employment has been terminated. As for your final paycheck, per the employee handbook, the deductions have resulted in a negative balance, which conveniently offsets your severance package. He continued, his voice flat and professional. The CEO's assistant is still in the hospital. The coffee was boiling, causing extensive burns. The initial medical estimate is $100,000. Furthermore, regarding the contract, because Kevin Chun ghosted the client, we are liable for $8 million in penalty fees. How would you like to pay the $8,100,000? Chloe was stunned. $8,100,000? Where was she supposed to find that? The Hansons barely gave her an allowance. With me, she had a black card with no limit. She had no concept of money. Her pathetic $3,000 a month salary was already gone. Pay up, Ms. Hanson. You talked a big game a minute ago. Don't tell me you're broke. Chloe was still trying to save face. I don't have it on me. I'll give it to you later. A few people in the crowd snickered. They tried to hold it back, but the situation was just too ridiculous. Chloe and Kevin's faces turned pale. $8 million was an astronomical sum for both of them. They'd probably have to sell their organs on the black market to even make a dent in it. The two of them exchanged a series of frantic glances. I knew exactly what they were thinking. Chloe would plead with me, sweet-talk me, and get me to drop the whole thing. Sure enough, Chloe's face suddenly softened into a syrupy, sweet smile. She leaned toward me, her voice a seductive purr. Honey, I was just in a bad mood today. Don't be mad at me, okay? I'll go home now and make you your favorite dinner tonight. She tried to slip away, but I wasn't about to let that happen. Stay. They both froze, turning back with forced, awkward smiles. I looked Chloe up and down, then let out a sudden laugh. You know, you just reminded me of something. Consider this your official notice. As of this moment, you are no longer my girlfriend, and you're no longer welcome in my penthouse. Chloe's jaw dropped. Her position here was just a title, a sinecure I created to keep her happy. If I cut her off, the Hansons would never let her back in their house. She would be completely, utterly ruined. All her schemes to get her hands on my family's money would be for nothing. Her expression shifted several times before she settled on a look of desperate pleading. Leo, don't do this. I really do love you. Please don't break up with me just to make a point. I turned to the head of security. From now on, if she sets foot in this building, you can pack your things and leave. Chloe was on the verge of exploding. Leo, what do you want from me? I've already backed down. This was, in all the years I'd known her, the first time she had ever conceded anything. A woman like Chloe Hanson was poison. She enjoyed the lavish life I gave her while plotting with an outsider to steal my inheritance. My security chief had tried to warn me, but I was blinded by love. Not anymore. The money, I said, my voice flat. I didn't want to waste another word on her. Kevin's eyes darted around, and he suddenly yelled, "This is outrageous, Mr. Vance. I'm leaving with Ms. Hanson." He puffed out his chest, trying to look noble, as if he were the one being wronged. I just laughed. Pay the debt, and you can go wherever you want. Seeing my resolve, Chloe still assumed I was just jealous and trying to get a rise out of her, not wanting her little lover to suffer. She snapped, "What money? Stop being so ridiculous." I glanced at Kevin's rapidly paling face. $8,100,000. You made the mess, Kevin. You clean it up. My words sent Kevin collapsing to the floor, but he still refused to accept responsibility. You're slandering me. It was just a cup of coffee. How could it injure someone that badly? And the contract falling through was a corporate issue, not my personal fault. This is extortion. I waved a hand, and someone from my legal team immediately called the police. When the police arrived, Chloe and Kevin finally realized I wasn't bluffing. Our head of corporate law, ever efficient, presented the officers with the medical report from the hospital and the security footage. My assistant was covered in burns. It was, after all, a full mug of scalding coffee. The breached contract and a wire transfer receipt for the penalty fee were also ready, the amount clearly stated. An officer reviewed the documents and spoke to Kevin with grim seriousness. Your best bet is to pay the restitution and reach a settlement. Mr. Vance's assistant's injuries are severe. If she presses charges, you could be facing a felony for assault with intent to do bodily harm. And according to your employment contract, the company is within its rights to hold you liable for the financial damages you caused. That's when the fear finally hit Kevin. He turned to me, his apology now sounding sincere, but he still wasn't ready to give up. He looked at me with tear-filled eyes. Mr. Vance, you know I can't pay this. Why are you pushing me like this? Why do you have to bully a poor person? I laughed. I actually laughed out loud. He was trying to guilt-trip me. What? My money wasn't earned through hard work. Did I tell you to throw hot coffee on my staff? Did I authorize you to ghost a client during a contract negotiation? What's your point? That you're poor, so you're right. Tell it to the cops. Chloe, unable to bear seeing her precious lover being cornered, instinctively lost her temper with me again. Leo, what is your problem? Enough is enough. If you're trying to get my attention, your methods are pathetic. I just stared at her, my face completely devoid of expression. Honestly, if I weren't concerned about maintaining my image, I would have thrown up on the spot. Fine, she said, her confidence inexplicably returning. I'll pay for it. Now, can we be done with this? She still thought she was my fiancée, that I would tolerate anything from her, that if she just gave in a little, this would all blow over. I nodded. Great. Pay up. She froze on the spot. She didn't have the money. She gritted her teeth and hissed. You've made your point. My patience is wearing thin. I gestured to my lawyer. She doesn't have the money. Have her sign a promissory note. She was stunned, unable to believe I could be so cold. Leo, what is the point of all this? I'm telling you, I'm at my limit. My lawyer ignored her, quickly drafted the note, and had them both sign. The debt is in your name, Kevin, I said. Chloe is the co-signer. You two can figure out how to pay it. Otherwise, we'll see you in court. After I finished, their faces were black with rage. Kevin looked like he was about to faint. The note is signed. I'll pay the money. Are you happy now, Leo? Chloe said, exasperated, and turned to go back to her office. I'm sorry, the head of security said, blocking her path. The CEO terminated your employment. Please leave the premises. He was ruthlessly efficient. 2 guards grabbed them and escorted them out, tossing them onto the sidewalk like garbage. Even then, Chloe didn't seem to grasp that everything she enjoyed came from me, and I could take it all away in an instant. She pulled Kevin toward the red Ferrari parked at the curb. It was mine, but Chloe liked it, so she'd been driving it. Chloe, this car is amazing, Kevin said, his mood instantly lifting. Can I drive it sometime? Of course. What's mine is yours. Take it whenever you want. Watching this, I just chuckled. Ignorance is bliss. The two of them, probably still fuming, decided to go on a shopping spree at Bergdorf's. No doubt planning to max out the credit card I gave her as revenge. This time, they weren't hiding. They were putting on a show, drawing envious stares from passersby. Look at that couple. Why wouldn't give? Beautiful woman, incredible car. The sounds of admiration went to their heads. They pulled each other into a deep, passionate French kiss right there on the sidewalk. All of it was being streamed directly to my phone. Before their kiss was even over, 2 police cruisers pulled up to the curb. Sir, ma'am, we need you to come with us. The owner of this vehicle has reported it stolen. Chloe's face was a picture of disbelief. You've made a mistake. This is my fiancé's car. Hearing this, the onlookers were stunned, their admiration turning to disgust. Fiancé? The woman is engaged, and she's out here with her boy toy? Classy. Chloe's face flushed. She'd just been caught in a lie, a minute after putting on a public display of infidelity. Unsurprisingly, they were both taken into custody to cooperate with the investigation. By the time they were released, disheveled and humiliated, it was the next day. Looking like he'd been dragged through a hedge backward, Kevin Shun rushed to the hospital. His mother worked there as a caregiver in the exclusive private wing, a job Chloe had arranged for her. She claimed she felt sorry for the woman and wanted to find her work. Back then, I would have done anything for Chloe. The hospital was owned by Vance Holdings, and a job in the private wing was easy, with great pay. I'd agreed to let Kevin's mother work there. The moment Kevin stormed into the ward, he started acting like he owned the place, shouting at the nurses. Where's my mother? You better be taking good care of her. If anything happens, I'll have Chloe fire every single one of you. The nurses seethed in silence. Ever since Kevin's mother started, she'd used her connection to Chloe to do absolutely no work, instead spending her days bullying the actual staff. His mother was lying on a spare bed, one leg crossed over the other, looking at her son with a mix of pride and impatience. Son, you need to hurry up and lock down that Chloe Hansen. I can't stand these Vance people anymore. Every day, they look at me like they're doing me a favor, and I have to bow and scrape and thank them. It makes my skin crawl. Kevin's face hardened with resentment. Don't worry, Mom. Chloe is already mine. Once they're married, I'll make sure Leo Vance disappears for good. Then all his money will be ours. This declaration made his mother preen with satisfaction. Every nurse in the private wing despised the Chens, but they couldn't do anything about it. This was a Vance hospital, and Chloe was, for all intents and purposes, the future Mrs. Vance. Now that I'd fired him, Kevin had nowhere else to go. But he was convinced I was just having a jealous fit and would come crawling back in a few days. So, he decided to move into the hospital with his mother. I was unaware of any of this until I got a call from hospital security. Mr. Vance, we need to report an issue. We've had a string of thefts from the private wing. Jewelry missing from several of the patients' rooms. The only unauthorized person with recent access is Kevin Chen's mother. I let out a cold laugh. I had forgotten about that particular piece of trash. It was time to take it out. Review the security footage immediately. Apologize to all the affected patients and inform them that the Vance family will reimburse them for the full value of their losses. And once you have evidence, call the police. I'm on my way. When I told my parents what was happening, they were furious and insisted on coming with me. After all, the victims were the wives and daughters of many of our city's most prominent families. It was better for my parents to handle it personally. This is unbelievable, my father thundered. Who does Chloe Hansen think she is, letting scum like this tarnish our family's name? Son, call the police now. Already have, Dad. They're on their way. By the time we arrived, the hospital security team had already detained Kevin and his mother. Kevin was still acting indignant, yelling at the guards. They ignored him and began clearing the area. Mr. Chun, we are conducting an investigation. We need your cooperation. Secure all of their belongings. The police will need to search them when they arrive. Do not let them move or dispose of any stolen property. Hearing this, the nurses practically jumped at the chance to help. Kevin's mother was shaking with rage. She grabbed a security guard and started screaming obscenities at him. What is the meaning of this? Are you calling me a thief? If you slander me again, I'll tell Mr. Vance. I was personally placed here by his fiancée, Ms. Hansen. You're insulting him. You're insulting her. Kevin shoved a guard who was bagging up their things. You bastards. Those are our personal belongings. You have no right to touch them. Well, who do we have here? A former employee of Vance Holdings, still throwing my family's name around so arrogantly. As they struggled with the guards, I walked in with my parents. Kevin never expected me to show up here. He looked around, and seeing that Chloe wasn't with me, he seemed at a loss. Kevin's mother saw me and lunged forward as if I were her savior. Mr. Vance, Ms. Hansen arranged for me to work here. I've been diligent every single day, never slacking off. But these people are accusing me of stealing. She started to cry, hoping her pathetic act would get her off the hook. My mother, however, just sneered. Ma'am, my family gave you a job because you were desperate. It was an act of charity to help you get by, not a license to destroy our reputation. I never seen my mother, always so gentle and refined, be so fiercely protective. My father was even more direct. He simply motioned for the police officers, who had arrived with us, to begin their search of the Chen's belongings. We had reported the theft of jewels worth, at minimum, several $1,000,000. The call came from Vance Holdings. The NYPD was taking it very seriously. No matter how much Kevin and his mother kicked and screamed, it was useless. From Mrs. Chen's purse, the police recovered a pair of stunning jade earrings. That was all the proof they needed. Before they met us, the entire Chun family couldn't have scraped together $200. They were practically starving. A timid young nurse stepped forward and added another piece to the puzzle. She also rented an apartment just down the street. With stolen property recovered, the police treated the tips seriously. A few minutes later, inside that small rental, they found a treasure trove. The crowd of onlookers who had followed gasped in shock. From Mrs. Chen's apartment, police recovered dozens of pieces of expensive jewelry. Jade, emeralds, diamonds, it was all there. Among the crowd were several of the women whose families were staying in the private wing. They immediately began to identify the stolen items, their voices sharp with anger. That's my mother's jade necklace. It's been missing for weeks. It's worth a fortune. And that's my diamond ring. My fiancé gave it to me when he proposed. So you're the one who stole it. One by one, the owners of the stolen goods were found. The patients in the Vance wing were not ordinary people. Mrs. Chun was now facing grand larceny charges that would put her away for at least a decade, maybe longer. I looked at Kevin with a cold smile. You're finished. Your mother stole millions of dollars worth of jewelry. Are you going to claim you knew nothing about it? As his face grew paler, I offered him a helpful reminder. Possession of stolen goods makes you an accomplice. I believe that apartment is rented in your name, and you've been living there. Are you sure you want to plead ignorance? He collapsed onto the floor. No, that's not it. My mom, she didn't know they were so valuable. She just thought they were pretty and wanted to look at them. She was going to give them back. It wasn't theft, I swear. But the police weren't interested in his pathetic excuses. They cuffed them both and led them away. All that awaited them now was a prison cell. That left one last piece of business, sending Chloe Hansen crawling back to her family, to resume her life as their dirty little secret. Before I even got to the Hansen estate, my phone rang. It was Chloe. Leo, have you had enough? Get Kevin and his mother out of jail right now. It was a misunderstanding. Do you really have to blow everything out of proportion? After hearing that, I hung up. Damn, I'd forgotten to block her number and answered out of habit. I immediately rectified that, blocking her on everything. But that was nothing. The real gift I had prepared for her was still to come. When I arrived at the Hansen estate in Greenwich, A family drama was already in full swing. Chloe's mother, the mistress, was facing off against the legitimate Mrs. Hansen over the family inheritance. Arthur Hansen, the patriarch, sat watching them, his face like stone. When our family walked in, Chloe's mother lit up with a brilliant, predatory smile. "Leo, you're here. Why didn't you say you were coming? Didn't Chloe come with you?" We said nothing. If I hadn't been infatuated with Chloe, a woman like her, with her sharp tongue and cheap manners, would never have even had the right to speak to my family. Arthur Hansen looked at us and nodded curtly. Since Chloe is soon to marry into the Vance family, we Hansens will not be stingy. 40% of Hansen Industries stock will be transferred to her name as part of the arrangement. Mrs. Hansen was clearly not happy. She was afraid of us, but she still had to fight for her own children. "Father, that's not appropriate. Chloe is, after all, an illegitimate child. To give away that much of the company is unfair to the rest of the family." At this, Chloe's mother shot Mrs. Hansen a triumphant smirk. "Mrs. Hansen, you needn't feel it's unfair. Have you calculated how many contracts my daughter's marriage to a Vance will bring this family? It's not my fault Leo is only in love with my daughter." Mrs. Hansen looked like she was about to faint from rage, but with outsiders present, she held her tongue. My mother watched the scene with cold disdain. When Chloe's mother's smile was at its widest, she finally spoke. "Mr. Hansen, I apologize for the intrusion, but we are here today to call off the engagement." Chloe's mother's face instantly contorted in horror. She lost all composure and shrieked, "Call it off? What do you mean? You're just going to dump my daughter after you've had your fun with her? Look at that. That classless display. What kind of brain-dead idiot was I to have ever fallen for a woman like Chloe?" "Insolence," my father's voice boomed. "If you have no manners, I have no objection to teaching you some." He didn't even look at her, keeping his eyes fixed on Arthur Hansen. Now it was Mrs. Hansen's turn to look smug. She stepped forward to apologize on their behalf. "Mr. Vance, Mrs. Vance, for you to come here personally to call off the engagement, Chloe must have done something unforgivable. On behalf of the Hansen family, I apologize. Please understand, Chloe's status in the Hansen family had always been awkward. Before me, her mother wasn't even allowed in the main house. It was only by latching onto my family that they had become so arrogant." Chloe's mother was still trying to salvage the situation. This was a golden opportunity, one she couldn't just let go, at least not until she had the Hansen shares in her hand. "My dear friends, there must be a misunderstanding. Let's talk this through. Such a wonderful match. We can't just end it like this." She was practically bowing, her entire future of wealth and luxury hanging in the balance. I was done with the games. I cut straight to the point. Chloe was cheating on me before the wedding. She also co-signed a promissory note for $8,100,000 for her lover. Why on earth would you think I wouldn't call this off? My tone finally set her off. She forgot my parents were even in the room and started lecturing me. I suppose my past deference to Chloe had made her forget her place. That's slander. My daughter is a virtuous, decent girl. She barely speaks to other men. Don't you dare malign her. And another thing, Leo, she continued, wagging her finger. I have to say, this is the modern world. It's normal to have friends. You can't expect her to be a shut-in, can you? You and Chloe have always had a wonderful relationship. You're just being overly sensitive this time. We raised her right. You can rest assured of that." My mother, normally the epitome of grace, had finally reached her limit. She strode forward and slapped the woman so hard that one side of her face immediately began to swell. "Who do you think you are?" My mother's voice was like ice. "You dare to lecture my son? Raised her right? Is your idea of a good upbringing having a mother who sleeps with a married man and a daughter who cheats on her fiancé?" Just then, Chloe arrived. Seeing her mother on the floor, holding her face, she stormed over to me, her eyes blazing. "Leo, have you finally lost it? Who gave you the right to hit my mother?" I didn't waste words. I took a manila envelope from my assistant, opened it, and threw its contents across the floor. The photos were spectacular. There were shots of Chloe and Kevin locked in a passionate kiss, pictures of them strolling hand-in-hand through the city without a care in the world, and even several explicit, intimate selfies they had taken together. The faces of everyone in the room were a sight to behold. My father had lost all patience. He delivered the final blow. "The Vance family is breaking this engagement. Mr. Hansen, I respect you as an elder. I expect you to give us a satisfactory resolution to this matter." Arthur Hansen didn't dare object. Faced with the fury of the Vance family, he would be lucky to keep his company intact. The alliance was dead. Of course, he stammered. "Rest assured, the Hansen family will give you a full account." We had no intention of staying. We turned and walked out. Before the door had even closed behind us, we could hear the old man's enraged commands. Butler, lock Chloe and her mother in their rooms. Cut off all their funds. As for their punishment, I will decide that when my wayward son returns. With that, Chloe and her mother's dreams of riches were shattered. Chloe collapsed to the floor, her eyes filled with a new kind of hatred. She couldn't believe that I, her loyal lapdog, had finally woken up. Leo, you're taking this too far, she spat, her voice venomous. Using our engagement as a bargaining chip? Faking all these photos? Is this all just to force me to marry you? Fine, I'll do it. We'll go to the courthouse tomorrow. No, right now. Is that what you want? Her mother scrambled to her feet, realizing the new strategy. Yes. Those photos are all fake. The only man in Chloe's life is Leo. Go get married right now. We don't want a dowry or anything, as long as they're happy. Even now, had they still not understood? Where did they get the confidence to believe that I would still marry Chloe, no matter what? I stopped my parents, who were about to explode again, and gestured to my assistant. He handed me an iPad. Since you're still not getting it, I said calmly, let me show you something else. A video began to play on the screen. The stars, of course, were Chloe and Kevin. They were sitting in a coffee shop, dreaming aloud about their future. Once Chloe married into the Vance family, she would use my affection for her to slowly funnel Vance Holdings' assets into Hansen Industries, eventually forcing me out and leaving them free to be together with my fortune. I had paid a great deal to get my hands on this recording. This time, the faces of the Hansen family turned green. They had no idea Chloe was so vicious. Arthur Hansen rushed forward, desperate to distance his family from the plot. Mr. Vance, we knew nothing about this. I swear. Please, you must believe me. Don't let this affect our family. I held up a hand to silence him and produced the promissory note Chloe had signed. And one more thing, Ms. Hansen acted as a guarantor for a debt of $8,100,000. The primary debtor is currently in a holding cell. I'll need you, Mr. Hansen, to ensure that she pays what she owes. Now, the old man finally understood the full scope of our rage. He examined the note carefully, then looked up at me with an apologetic smile. Leo, this debt has nothing to do with the Hansen family. It was Chloe's personal action. Would you like us to provide our lawyers to assist you in suing her? Chloe's face went white. She scrambled forward and fell to her knees in front of me. Leo, I was wrong. I never meant to take your company. We were just joking. I was just playing around with Kevin. Please don't leave me. I love you. I kicked her away from me and grabbed her by the throat. Even now, I could see the hatred flickering in her eyes. Chloe, how much do you hate me? You used my feelings, you cheated on me, and you tried to steal my family's legacy. You're poison. You don't deserve to live in this world. Spend the rest of your life rotting in the gutter where you belong. She trembled, terrified. That was her greatest fear. My next words sent her into a full-blown panic. Do you know where I got that video? It was Kevin. He had it ready as an insurance policy. The moment he was in that interrogation room, he started screaming about cutting a deal, offering up evidence in exchange for a lighter sentence. He gave you up in a heartbeat. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being too greedy. You didn't even stop to consider who you were dealing with before trying to play these kinds of games. You stupid, stupid girl. Chloe's eyes were filled with pure, unadulterated hatred. But now it wasn't just for me. Most of it was for Kevin. None of that mattered to me anymore. The rest of it, the Hansen family would handle. I wouldn't have to get my hands dirty. A month later, the Hansen family came to our home with extravagant gifts to formally apologize. Chloe had been committed to a private psychiatric hospital. Forced to take a daily cocktail of heavy antipsychotic drugs, she had lost her mind. Now, she was just a raving lunatic, constantly shouting to anyone who would listen. I'm the lady of the Vance family. I'm the next Mrs. Vance. Seeing the videos my team sent me brought me immense satisfaction. Her mother didn't fare much better. Seeing her daughter broken and all her hopes of a life of luxury completely dashed, she had a mental breakdown of her own. The Hansens, however, felt no pity. They simply threw her out on the street to fend for herself. As for Kevin and his mother, they were suffering in prison. Every time they tried to fight back or complain, they were met with brutal beatings from other inmates. There was no escape. This was, of course, partly the work of the Hansens, but the powerful families whose jewelry had been stolen also pulled a few strings. It was unlikely either of them would ever walk out of that prison alive. Cruelty was never my style, but an eye for an eye, that has always been one of my few virtues. Those who live by the sword die by the sword. When you do something wrong, you have to pay the price.